On Friday morning, ship trackers looking at the Strait of Hormuz saw nothing moving. Not fewer ships, none. The evening before, 2 tankers owned by Abu Dhabi State Oil Company were attacked in the strait, and the United Arab Emirates blamed Iran, which said nothing. Before this war, more than 130 ships a day moved through that water. On Thursday, 9. On Wednesday, 5. Now put a sentence next to that empty sea. The Vice President of the United States went on television this week and said, in his words, that is goal number 1. Keep oil and gas cheap for Americans all over the country. The nuclear program, the thing this war was launched over, he listed second. Here is what that costs you. The national average for gasoline is above $4 a gallon, and the analysts who track it say this is the most expensive August in their records. Going back to 2008, no August 13th has ever cost American drivers more. Crude added 4% this week alone. So tonight, one question. If cheap fuel is goal number 1, why is the bill at your pump the highest it has ever been in this month of the year? Start with what Washington is actually promising. The Defense Secretary says the Navy can hold its blockade of Iranian ports indefinitely, rotating ships in and out. The Treasury Secretary promises measures like have never been seen in the history of economic isolation, his words, next week. And the President keeps saying the United States has total control of the strait. Total control of water where 9 ships dared to sail on Thursday. A blockade is control of a door. It is not the same thing as the door being open. And the price at your pump only cares whether the door is open. Which brings us to the men on the other side of that door. Because this week, they told you their answer in writing. Iran's Security Council published its price for reopening the strait, and it reads less like a negotiating position than a verdict. The United States must never threaten Iran again. It must permanently end the war, lift the naval blockade, withdraw its forces from the region, compensate Iran for the damage, release the frozen assets, and lift sanctions. 6 demands, and the first one is a promise no American government could sign. The same week, an Iranian parliamentary committee approved a plan for the strait that bans the transit of American, Israeli, and other hostile assets outright. And the Revolutionary Guard's Navy said the thing that matters most. The reopening does not depend on the talks with Oman. Hold that sentence, because we told you last episode that the Oman route was the strongest argument against our read. The Guard just closed that argument itself. If the route on the table does not decide the strait, then the strait is not being negotiated. It is being held. The 60-day window to turn June's memorandum into a final deal runs out on August 17th, and reporting says both sides have moved to extend it. A senior Iranian source says there has been no progress. Extending a deadline nobody is progressing toward is not diplomacy. It is 2 sides agreeing to keep the clock from embarrassing them. Now the number underneath all of it. Iran's deputy army commander claims, through state media, that more than 75% of its missile and drone capability survived the strikes and stands ready. The president said last month that Iran kept only about 1/5 of its stockpile. Both figures cannot be true, and neither side will show you its arithmetic. But notice what the gap does. Every decision in Washington that assumes the low number is a gamble on the enemy's honesty. And into that gap steps a proposal. Israeli media claim, citing unnamed sources, that the head of Central Command urged renewed strikes on Iran during a visit to Israel last week, this time on oil, gas, and electricity infrastructure, and that the idea has been put in front of the president. No American official has confirmed it, but the logic is visible from here. If the blockade is not moving Tehran, and the sanctions are not moving Tehran, the next lever on the shelf is the power grid. That is the reporting. Here is our take. This war has inverted its own goals, and the inversion is the story. It began with a nuclear program. It is now, by the vice president's own ranking, about the price of gasoline. And on that measure, the ledger is public. The most expensive August on record, crude up 4% in a week, a strait at a standstill, and a blockade the Pentagon promises to run indefinitely. A war justified by cheap fuel that produces record fuel prices does not wind down. It escalates, because the only thing worse for the men running it than the cost of continuing is admitting the cost bought nothing. 3 reasons we hold that read. The demands wall. Tehran's 6 conditions are built to be refused, which tells you it prefers the leverage to the deal. The dead Oman argument. The Guard itself says the route does not decide the strait. And the infrastructure proposal. When a theater commander is reported to be selling strikes on the power grid, the argument inside the machine has already moved from whether to escalate to where. The strongest argument against us is the calendar. The midterms are in November, fuel prices are dragging the president's numbers, and his own party's voters are split. We went to the board on that too. In a Tennessee munitions town that lives off this war's explosives, loyal Republican voters told reporters they are divided on whether America has any business in it. Political pain is real pressure toward a deal. But pressure needs a door, and Tehran just listed 6 locks. What would change our mind is narrow, the blockade visibly lifted, or a named Iranian authority signing a reopening in public. Not a claim of progress, a lifted blockade and a signature. And then there is what this war already cost the people it claims to be about. In Manab, in southern Iran, excavators are still clearing a primary school 5 months after a missile destroyed it on the war's first day. The local prosecutor's office counts 156 dead there, 120 of them children. A worker pulled a child's exercise book from the rubble, pages intact, neat handwriting, a name on the cover. Maya Salari. She was 8. Whatever the men in Washington and Tehran are bargaining over, Iranians have already paid more for this war than either government will ever admit, and they were never asked. 3 things to watch. The pump price, because the administration itself just made it the scoreboard. The power grid proposal, because if infrastructure strikes are approved, the war changes character. And August 17th, because every extension without progress is the war telling you it intends to continue. Bottom line, Washington now says this war is about cheap fuel, and the war is producing the most expensive August fuel in American history, which is why the next move is escalation and not a deal. Before you go, the board moves every day, and we would rather you watch it move than hear about it after. If this breakdown helped you see the week clearly, hit like. It is free, and it tells us to keep drawing the board. And subscribe, because the board moves every day, so you catch the pieces before they move.